Here's today's Taste Appeal.
So earlier in the show we sweated, I did at least, with bodybuilder Jacquelyn Rickson, and now we are in the kitchen and she's going to show us how we can fuel our bodies without packing on the pounds with a gluttonous favorite, but it's a healthy take on this favorite.
It sure is. So the thing with French toast is that the bread is usually where the calories come from, and actually the syrup. So we're going to take out both the calories of each at about half. This is called Ezekiel bread. You can use, I like to use this or any kind of whole grain, whole wheat bread. But picking one of those instead of a white bread or a really thick Texas toast is going to keep you a lot fuller.
So I guess number one tip is just avoid the white bread.
Correct.
And white flour, all that good stuff.
Exactly. So to start us off, obviously we're going to spray our pan. Get it
so
nice
we don't need to use butter, we can just use that cooking spray instead?
I use the cooking spray for everything. I use this for vegetables.
Really?
Yeah, I don't use any butter, salt, pepper, nothing. You can spray this on a pan and throw it in.
I use olive oil in most of my things. Maybe I'll make the switch to cooking spray.
Do it. Cuts the calories big time. So feel free to help me with these eggs.
I'd love to.
I like to use about 2 or 3 eggs per piece of toast.
Now you're just using the egg white now, right?
Yes, because I'm trying to cut down on the amount of fat that I'm going to put into my French toast. Because usually we like to use the whole egg, but today we're just going to use the white.
We got to make this very healthy.
There we go.
There we are.
Awesome.
So what are some of your building blocks, your go-to foods when you're trying to eat really healthy?
Definitely a lot of protein. I like to make sure that I'm stay nice and full with the amount of protein that I'm eating. I have it in every meal, and I eat probably 6 to 7 times a day.
Do you? So all the mini meals?
Yep. And so never really big, heavy, starchy meals. Everything is loaded with protein and tons of vegetables.
What's your opinion on those powdered proteins that you can get in the stores?
I do use them. You just want to make sure you don't use a ton of them, and you want to look at the calorie count. You want to look at the amount of sugars and the amount of carbohydrates they have. The more sugar in it, the more it's going to spike your insulin, and you're going to get those cravings for sugary and more milkshakey kind of things. So if you stay with things that are much less calories for you, just make sure you look at the label.
Yeah,
it's really the label.
And I mean, if you can, do the natural proteins, the chickens and the pork.
Exactly. If you have time to cook, then cook. That's my best advice.
So what have you put in the egg yolk? Get us up to date.
So in the egg yolk, in the egg whites, what I wanted to do is I put a little bit of a sugar substitute. I use stevia or Truvia. And you can use Splenda, whatever floats your boat, whatever's normal for you. I don't like to use the regular sugar, and especially on my prepping for a show, I don't use the regular sugar. So you just want to whisk this up. You want to keep whisking that for me.
I would love to whisk.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to make 1 piece of French toast, and you'll get the love of eating that.
Good.
So what I like to do is, because normally you don't use this much egg for French toast, you use a little bit and use milk. I don't use milk at all. That's perfect. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna dip the French toast in, and I'm gonna let it sink. I'm gonna make it
really eggy.
Yeah, a lot of egg, and it'll puff up and it tastes delicious.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because the whole grains and the whole wheat breads tend to be kind of dry. So the more egg you put in it, 1, you're getting the good protein that you need, and you're also making it a little puffier and a little more tasty.
That's a good tip, Jacquelyn. Now, what about sweets? I know when you're probably in the build-up to all this, you don't eat sweets, I bet.
No.
But you know what? I'll try to work out as much as I can, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just gotta have a sweet. What are your go-to, cheat foods?
Cheat foods for me, believe it or not, are a lot of fruit. I love fruit. It's one thing that I can't have when I'm prepping, so I really dive for fruit a lot. And if you're craving something sweet, have some fruit with some sugar-free Cool Whip or some fat-free Cool Whip on it.
Good idea.
It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. So I'm just gonna take this out. As you can see, it's gonna be nice and hot.
Soggy,
Turn it down a little bit. But it's gonna cook up really nice and get nice and puffy in there.
And roughly how much time on each side? 'Cause you have to cook the egg thoroughly, or else you could get a salmonella or something
Exactly. You want to make sure.
I got you. You have egg hands.
Yeah, I have eggy hands.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me go wash that off.
All right.
But you want to cook it as long as when you flip it over and it looks nice and crispy, just like regular French toast.
Okay.
And it usually cooks right through. Just be a little more thorough with it. Let it sit on low for a few minutes, and it'll come out nice and puffy.
And we have a finished product here. Check that out. That looks great.
Yeah.
And is that powdered sugar on the top?
Yes, actually, I went a little overboard and I used a little bit of powdered sugar on there.
You got to cheat every once in a while.
Exactly. And now with the syrup too, This is my favorite kind right here. This is by Maple Grove Farms. It's a sugar-free maple flavor.
I see that?
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
So it's got less carbs, and it has obviously it's sugar-free. By sugar-free, they mean it's a sugar substitute.
So there's no added sugar.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, I gotcha.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna put a little bit on, maybe try myself a bite. Thank you so much for kicking my abs into gear over there, and now giving us a really good, healthy take on French toast. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, and don't go anywhere because there's more Mass Appeal right after this.